Hey everyone, are you ready for Battle for Biternia, the new Stone Circle Games joint designed by Chris Falkenberry? This is a retro bit themed MOBA style game up on Kickstarter right now. What is a MOBA? Well, I'm glad you asked. MOBAs, or multiplayer online battle arenas, are a game popular with people who hate MOBAs. In these games, two teams of players are rushing into each other's bases, trying to get past their defenses, strategically leveling up, getting abilities, and wreaking havoc on the other player's team, hopefully to destroy one thing or another, thereby winning the match. These are highly strategic games and near impenetrable, but Stone Circle Games has decided to try and simplify the whole approach to MOBAs and yet maintain some tactical and strategic goodness, making it an approachable 30 to 60 minute game for 2 to 4 players. Now, as I said, this game is on Kickstarter right now. Therefore, this is a prototype copy, and while it looks really beautiful, it is not a finished product, and everything you see may be subject to change. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the Cardboard Herald's thoughts on Battle for Biternia. In Battle for Biternia, every player is going to have a bit. They're going to have 3 towers that protect it and 4 characters that will do your bidding. Each player's objective is to destroy the other player's bit. They can do this by reducing the health of a character to 0, which then damages your bit. They can do this by destroying one of your towers, also damaging their bit. Or if they march a character on right into the bit and punch it in the face, they also do damage. The game goes pretty fast because damage is swift and painful. This is a ruthless game. Each of these characters have unique abilities and powers, and you're going to get to draft them at the beginning of the game, either based off of the perfect strategy to counter what characters your opponents have picked, or you can just be like me and pick the ones that you want to see shipped together. The Archer and Ice Mage are just so cute together. The actions you take in the game are driven by your deck of cards. Both players have a set of basic actions, but at the start of the game and each time you level up a character, another of their awesomely thematic and individually powerful special abilities gets added to your deck. There are 3 main steps that govern the flow of the game. First, players assign cards from their hands face down to each character. Then second, players alternate choosing a character and moving one space or passing. And then 3, players alternate choosing a character and either resolving their action card or pitching it for money or health. These action cards most often do damage, but they have a wide variety of abilities and effects and stick around giving bonus defense until that character's next action card is revealed. Once the deck runs out of cards, all you do is take your discard pile and flip it over without shuffling it. For players who have played endless amounts of deck building games like me, this will blow your freaking mind. The fact that the cards that you played earliest will also be the earliest to return to you gives you just a little bit extra crunchy decision making to chew on. Not to mention that when a character dies, their card too ends up going into the discard pile only to respawn when they've arrived back at the top of the deck. Fortunately, there are some systems in the game that allow you to expedite the rate at which you shuffle through cards in your deck, and they're not that thick, but it does give you just one more strategic thing to think about that is very cool and very intuitive once you wrap your brain around it. As soon as you've played your first round, it's immediately apparent that this is an incredibly tactical game of cat and mouse, trying to anticipate what your opponent is going to do before they even show it. And so play continues until one player has finally destroyed their opponent's bit, thereby winning the game and winning Biternia. Alright, so one of my favorite things about this game is it is incredibly tactical, but in a very approachable way. You only have a few options available to you, and the information is easy to understand, but the wide range of repercussions that can happen is awesome, and it feels great when something works your way, and it doesn't feel too terrible when it doesn't, because it's overall a fairly lighthearted game with the cutest characters in the world. You're not going to feel bad when the bard comes in and wrecks your face. Now, your characters, because you're assigning actions to them before you have even moved or seen what your opponent is going to do, then you have already limited your options. They're like a loaded gun, but you don't know exactly when or where you're going to use that. And seeing where your opponents move, that's going to give you all that much more information about what you want to do with that turn. You're actually setting up your characters for possibilities of what your opponents might do rather than exactly what you anticipate doing. When you load up your barbarian with their ultimate area attack and then Jack stupidly moves all of his characters into the area with you and you deal 7 damage to each of them, you feel awesome. Spoony Bards, Medio, frickin' Cyrus, these guys are totally cashing in on my nostalgia for 90s Super Nintendo games, and it works. But even if you've never split a mountain with Masa and Mune or dived into a Zone Eater in order to rescue a mime, and let's be honest everyone, Go-Go is totally Daryl. It still has a cohesive and beautiful theme that I think could be appealing to anyone, even if they're not of the generation to have played all these video games. That said, the retro bit look is really specific, and I don't think it's going to work for everyone. There are going to be some people who just dismiss this game just based off of the look alone. Hey, I'm not one of them, but haters are going to hate. This is described as a 2 to 4 player game, and to me, at heart, it is absolutely a 2-player game. Head to head, blue team versus red team. You are trying to do a battle of wits in order to see who wins Biternia. By having a 4-player game, while I appreciate the option, it means that you're splitting up your teams. There's no additional characters on the board, and you are doing a team game. And all that achieves is that you only have 2 characters, and the characters and the interactivity and the ability to choose which gun you're unloading at once is the best aspect of the game, and having less characters, to me, makes for a little bit less fun. Alright everyone, I really like this game. It is fast, it is approachable, and it is really fun. The way the characters interact, the way that they're each unique, the way that they are uniquely powerful is exciting. And actually loading up your character cards and the way that you alternate movement, then alternate resolving, it feels very cool, like a great game of cat and mouse. And let's talk about the Super Nintendo look of the game. That is totally my jam. I grew up with those types of games and it nails the aesthetic. It is beautiful, and I just love looking at it and seeing all the references to games that I adore from my youth. That said, if you're the type of person who wants to approach this from the MOBA aspect and you are wanting to have a deeply strategic game where you are going to win based off of incremental victories and having an extremely high skill level, I don't know that this is going to be the game for you. In order to keep it fun, friendly, and fast, they had to make it not so impenetrable and lower the skill ceiling a bit. I think it makes a better game for it, but that is going to be a turnoff for some players. So that's it. That's the Cardboard Herald's first impressions of Battle for Biternia by Stone Circle Games on Kickstarter right now. If you are left with questions or you want to know more about my experience with the game, let me know in the comments below. I'm really active on YouTube and Twitter at Cardboard Herald. You'll be able to talk with me. I'll let you know anything that I can in order to help you make the right decision. And lastly, stay tuned, subscribe, do all the social media things, because the more we talk about games here, the less you are going to have to suffer bad games at the table.